Say what now?
So, I don't know if y'all have caught up on this yet, but Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and their administration, their plan is to make the 2017 Trump tax cuts that went overwhelmingly to the super rich and to big corporations, like 80% of the benefits went to the top 1%, the super rich, as well as big corporations. They're going to make that permanent. That is going to cost $4.7 trillion with a T. It's going to blow a giant, enormous hole in our deficit. In order to fund that, they're going to make you pay for it using tariffs. Donald Trump likes to pretend that he doesn't know that tariffs get paid for by the consumer, but he knows. And you know how we know he knows? Because he's using the tariffs as his scheme to pay for the tax cuts. It's because he's clearly been told by people like Russell Vogt that at the time America was great, during the late 19th century, the Gilded Age, when the super rich amassed enormous, massive fortunes, massive wealth, tax-free, that America was great, that it was prosperous. This was also the time when America was doing a lot of expansionism, going and grabbing other territories. Donald Trump digs this whole era. He thinks it's a good idea. And he's been convinced that he can have his massive tax cut, and all that has to be done to pay for it is, number one, slash the government. Cut the government down to the bones, down to its dry bones, by firing as many federal workers as possible and privatizing as many government functions as possible. Tommy Tuberville of Alabama and Senator Mike Lee of Utah have introduced a bill that would privatize the TSA, the agency created after 9/11 to secure our airports and make sure that planes aren't blown up by terrorists. They want to privatize that, turn that into a private, profit-making function. They want to do that with most of government. They'd love to privatize the Postal Service. They'd love to privatize everything that this federal government does. They're cutting things like U.S. aid, foreign aid, all these functions of government, slashing them, and a lot of those functions benefit the American people. They don't care. They're cutting Medicaid. They've got a $800 billion cut in Medicaid in mind. All of this to try to drive up as much money as possible, selling off parts of our national parks, allowing development in national parks, selling off hundreds of federally owned buildings, including iconic landmark buildings owned by the federal government and run by the Park Service. They want to sell those off, like the Montgomery bus building, where the Montgomery bus boycott was to start selling all that off, to try to raise enough money to justify this $4.7 trillion tax cut that's going to blow a hole in our deficit. And the way they think they will get the rest of the money for that, make you pay for it through tariffs, because they know tariffs are paid for by you. It's a giant shift in who pays for the federal government, from the super rich, because they're going to pay less and less and less because they're going to cut their taxes, down to working class regular people paying the bills using tariffs, meaning you pay more for everything you buy. You pay a giant tariff tax on food, on gas, on buying cars, electronics, buying clothes, all these things that you're going to pay the tariffs on. That's how they think they're going to fund the government now instead of income taxes. Because the Gilded Age was a